Some Indian. Indian. How long? Since you settled here, how long? Ka? Oh, right. Right. Oh, one Muslim. Oh, one lady. Had some problem. Hello. Please sit down. Now, dear brothers and sisters, indeed, I am very, very happy having this opportunity, meeting with public. So I want to thank organizer and thank Rinpoche and also all the concerned the people I want to thank. See, with your sincere motivation and your effort, you see this meeting materialized or took place. So I very much appreciate. Thank you. And then also the audience, you. Today, I think Sunday. So suppose you have holiday. But instead of you yourself enjoying the Sunday's holiday, you come here, listen to my talk. So I appreciate. But at the same time, I always make clear when a large number of people they come to listen to my talk, and I always make clear. Sometimes among the audience or people who come to see me with great sort of expectation, that's wrong. I have nothing to offer something very special, nothing. My talk just sort of say, just our common experience, that's all. Then sometimes you see people who are coming to see me with belief that Dalai Lama have some kind of miracle power. That's nonsense. Then some people even believe Dalai Lama have some kind of healing power. And I think last year I clearly demonstrated my gallbladder, after I think 15, 20 years, some problem that finally last year removed through surgery. So that's a very indication I have no power of healing. If I have truly healing power, then that power must be utilized for myself. So therefore, you see, all these sort of view, and I think a few decades ago, you see, one author is, I think, fake name, I think, Losang Ramba. His book, Third Eye, or he created some impression that Tibetan lamas have some kind of miracle power and third eye. So like that. So anyway, quite helpful, you see, to raise some interest about Tibet. But anyway, if you truly believe like that, it is disaster. So now, I am very, very happy and a great honor meeting with the public. That I consider very, very important. Why? not for political election or something like that. Sometimes I jokingly telling people, oh, one day I may start one political party. Then, oh, political sort of election lecture. But you see, my main the commitment, my main interest, my main concern is, firstly, I'm just another human being, one of 6 billion human beings. And I believe human beings are social animals. Individual human beings' life or happiness, successful life, entirely depend on the rest of the community. One single human being, no matter how brilliant mind or a very powerful body, cannot survive. And just remain alone, you cannot get genuine sort of sense of security or sense of happy feeling, because we are social animals. So therefore, and then particularly today's world, the east or west, south or north, an entire continent heavily interdependent. That's now new reality because of environmental problems, because of the global economy, and also I think to some extent, I think with help of the modern sort of technology, now we are very close each other. So that's new reality. So according to that reality, I think our very concept, century-old concept, we and they, is actually no longer there. We must consider entire 6 billion human beings are just a part of we. Truly, we are one community, one human family. So with that conviction, I feel we are mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. And everyone want happy life, same. Everyone have the right to achieve happy life, same. Equal, 100% equal. So therefore, I believe, and also many of my friends believe or sharing same view, now we really need a sense of global responsibility and taking care of everybody's interest and consider entire 6 billion human beings as a part of we. Even from the selfish viewpoint, taking care of others more, you get maximum benefit. So that's reality. So therefore, now in order to bring some sort of sense of global responsibility, or some sense of responsibility to look after well-being of others, now here key factor is compassion, human affection. Human compassion is actually, I think the seed of compassion is the biological factor, not come from religious belief, but from our biological factor, because we need human affection. We, everybody, now here, perhaps I think few thousand people here, everyone come from one's own mother and grown up mother's milk, mother's tremendous affection. And within that, I think among audience here, including myself, those people who had sort of maximum affection from our mother, I think our health better, our mental state more calm, and ready to show affection to others. Then those people, those brothers, sisters, unfortunately, at the time of a young age, lack of mother's affection, mother's care. And sometimes some, abuse. Then such people, emotionally, in deep inside, some kind of, bad experience, as a result, some hurt. So as a result, their mental state always a little tense comparatively. And physical health also a little difficult. Then worst thing, those people, I think, find difficulties to show affection to others. So I think, of course, we need more investigation, more study. I think those people who create some sort of trouble or killing, or eventually suicide. Perhaps these people, if we research or if we investigate, I think these people, in early period of their life, I think something lacking. So therefore, we basically survived our life out of others' affection. And then very nature of this body, more compassionate mind, very positive impact on our body, in our health. That, according to my own little experience, is quite clear. It's convincing. Right, convincing. I think comparatively, my mental state, quite okay. In spite of some sort of problems and some bad news, heartbreaking news, but in little deeper, my mind quite stable. Or hopefully. So that really very, very positive impact on my health. So as I mentioned earlier, the surgery, actually there are a lot of complication. My gallbladder. So actually the gallbladder enlarged almost 3 times. And then also what called pus.
Pus collection. Pus collection. Pus.
Pus collection. So usually, that surgery, very simple surgery, they take only 15-20 minutes. In my case, 3 hours. It takes 3 hours. But then recover within 5 days and 1 week, completely recover. So the concerns of the doctors also a little bit surprised. And one doctor described me as a young patient. Then I told him, I'm not young. I'm over 73 years old. And he responded to me, yes, he knows your age, but your physical condition, like in 60s. So he mentioned, So these, not out of miracle, but simply, I think, my mental state more compassionate, more peaceful. So that I fully sort of convinced. And then, because my mother, illiterate, just ordinary, uneducated farmer, but a wonderful heart. I think sometimes I feel my mother's kindness is, I think, bigger than some of those great masters. Very sort of, because the innocent way, uneducated, just a farmer's wife like that, farmer's mother, but very kind. So we never saw our mother's sort of angry face, always very calm, like that. So I always feel a certain amount of sort of my compassion or peace of mind. I think real seed come from my mother. Of course, later, with help of my teachers, my gurus, and through my own training or meditation, of course, further strengthening these naturally there. But real seed come from my mother. So everybody, everyone who come from one's own mother, we all have the seed of that compassion. So potential, everyone has that potential. Now important thing is realize that and pay more attention about that and utilize that potential. Then your life becomes more happier, more peaceful. And I think there's many ways to bring inner peace. One way, more compassionate attitude. You see, reduce the concept of enemy. Regardless others' attitude, from your own side, is to consider truly human brothers, sisters. They also deserve happy life, deserve to overcome suffering. And you develop sense of concern to everybody. So, according to that sort of attitude, no enemy. So result, no fear. In any way, much less fear. Of course, some mad dog come, or Dharamsala, the belt of earthquake. So some fear about earthquake, that's I think reasonable. That's good. But otherwise, you see, the mental projected fear. Often, because our own extreme self-centered attitude, lack of affection, lack of compassion, then with your own mental projection, you find more hostile people, hostile surround. Result, much more tense, much more fear. And that fear transformed unhappiness, sometimes anger. And anger brings violence. So therefore, compassion really brings inner strength. Compassion brings trust, openness. That brings more friend, more affection from other. So result, you feel happy. More compassionate heart, look this side and front, you feel, oh, human brothers, sisters, and some kind of intimacy there. And then look this side, oh, human brothers, sisters, here also, like that. So then you feel calm, happy. If you keep here suspicion, hatred, anger, Anger brings suspicion. Suspicion destroys trust or openness. Then you always feel some kind of distance from other people. With that kind of attitude, looking forward, suspicion. Looking this side, suspicion. This side, suspicion. Result, lonely and desperate. So these are psychological working, psychological nature. Sometime back in Stockholm, I met one great American scientist. Now I forgot his name. When I met him, his age over 80s. While we talk, he mentioned to me, when people get angry and the object which you feel anger, that object appears very negative. So here actually in reality 90% of negativeness of that object is your own mental projection. So this is some Buddhist literature also, you see, clearly mentioned like that. So I think obviously, you see, if we examine our own experience, when you develop anger, then that person or that object looks very negative. But then anger, a little cool down. Then that object, not that bad. Then eventually develop some attachment. Then that object really appears very beautiful. Similarly, when we develop attachment, that object really very nice, looks very beautiful. Then due to some other factor, you develop little hesitant. Or, example, I think as a human being, at the beginning, too much attachment, very closeness feeling. Then due to something, when you develop some distrust, some suspicion, then that positive appearance, the same object, but little change. Then eventually hatred, that I think a blind attachment sometimes often turned into hatred. Then the same object, but appears very negative. So that's the obviously much sort of mental projection here. So therefore, more compassionate mind really get feeling you are surrounding by a friend, full of affection. So that brings inner calmness or peace or happiness. One thing. Another aspect of the compassion. Compassion brings tranquility, calmness. The calmness provides our brain which can judge good and bad. So when we develop anger, hatred, that part of brain cannot function normally. So through that way, decision take at the time of your mind to become anger, and often these decisions become wrong. Because when your mind, too much emotions, destructive emotion there, you can't see the reality. As a result, no matter what your motivation, no matter what goal, because of lack of knowledge about reality, all your approach become unrealistic approach. Result, disaster. So, a good thing or bad thing, the method should be realistic method. Then effect really come. So in order to carry realistic approach, you must know the reality very clearly. So in order to know the reality clearly, your mind must be very calm. And with calm mind, you can see objectively. If your mind, dominated by emotion, then you can't see the object objectively. So that also is one, I think, positive aspect of compassion. So compassion brings inner peace, inner strength, and also compassion brings more neutral mind. That open our sort of potential of judgment. So, affection or compassion as a product of our biological factor, it is something really precious in order to lead happy life. Now I want to make clear what is compassion. Sometimes we develop some kind of feeling, some concern about other sort of difficulties or suffering or pains, but there is some tendency just look down. So sometimes I think we call pitchiness, pity, isn't it? Compassion, there is also element of respect. So sense of concern with respect. Clearly accept their right to overcome the suffering, just like myself. So now here, also you see, it is important to know our usual sort of, the feeling of love or compassion towards one's own friend, one's own close sort of friend. That actually biased compassion and much mixed with attachment. And that compassion oriented others' attitude, not being itself, but rather their attitude. So, usually we say, oh, I really love this person because his or her attitude towards me is very nice or very kind. That's biased, limited, and much mixed with attachment and not stable. So long their attitude remain there, you develop that kind of, you feel that kind of closeness feeling. As soon as their attitude change, that kind of loving kindness attitude is completely changed. However, that compassion or love take as a seed. Then further sort of reasoning, the others, just like myself, want happiness or successful life, and everyone deserve to have that kind of happy life. Now, for example, one's own case. I love myself, but not my love, or our own sort of cherishing way.
No, Self-cherishing.
Self-cherishing, sort of love myself, not oriented my attitude, but myself. Isn't it? There's no feeling, I am very kind to me. So I develop love or concern about myself. Not that way. Irrespective whether my attitude, but I'm just a human being. So I deserve happiness, to achieve happiness, and deserve to overcome suffering. So now that exact sort of reason go others. They are human beings, they are sentient beings, they have the feeling of pains and pleasure, they have the feeling or desire to overcome suffering and to achieve happiness, just like myself. So on that basis, you can develop genuine sense of concern or sense of love. That oriented on the being, not oriented on the attitude. Clear? So that compassion, since oriented to being, not attitude, therefore, regardless their attitude, so you can maintain, you can extend your genuine concern or love or compassion. So that compassion can extend towards your enemy. Your enemy, as far as their attitude is concerned, negative attitude towards you. So we consider, you call them as an enemy. But from the sort of, as a being, as a human being, as a sentient being, they also have the right to overcome suffering, like myself. So, through reasoning that and through familiarize with that kind of thinking, then eventually you can develop compassion towards your enemy or towards all sentient beings. That compassion, not oriented on attitude, but oriented being itself, sentient being itself, that unbiased, without attachment. So for development of that kind of compassion, first we detach. Attachment brings narrow-minded. So in order to open our mind, detach. Detach does not mean withdraw sense of concern or sense of affection. Sense of affection, from the Buddhist viewpoint, sense of affection, genuine, this unbiased affection based on reason or valid basis. The other compassion, which mixed with attachment, that's no basis of valid
reasoning.
Therefore, you see, there's differences. In mental level, there are so many sort of... Now, for example, desire. Desire is very positive. Without a desire, no movement, no progress. Desire is necessary. But desire mixed with attachment, then difficult. So negative, destructive desire and constructive desire, two things. And also the egoistic attitude. Ego, right?
No, ego.
Self-centered ego. There's negative, some kind of strong feeling of strong self. Can be either positive or negative. For infinite love and compassion and a desire to serve entire sentient being, entire 6 billion human being, you need tremendous sort of determination or willpower. For that, you need self-confidence. For that, you need sense of strong self. That egoistic attitude is positive, very necessary. Then another egoistic attitude which lead, exploit on other, bully on other, killing on other, that kind of self-centered egoistic is negative. So among the emotion, there are so many sort of different sort of nature. We have to make clever sort of distinction, these things. So in any way, now I'm talking here, now there are two kinds of compassion or love. One, limited, biased, oriented action. Another level, not oriented attitude, but the being itself. And that unbiased, infinite, and based on valid reason, like that. Now, since I think everybody, according to our own experience, say, we wish, I think, more compassionate sort of mind. I think obviously everyone, from early morning, as soon as we wake up, I think nobody wishing that day more trouble or good quarrel with other people. I don't think anyone, you see, wishing that kind of thing. But rather, I wish today more my friend come and having some nice time with them. That kind of sort of feeling. So essentially, nobody wants problem. But problem, of course, due to nature disaster, including earthquake, these things, of course, different. Otherwise, I think many problems, actually, even family level or individual level, I think many problem here. Of course, problem, about the poverty or due to poverty or ignorant or
lack of education.
Lack of education. These are something different. Everybody making effort to improve these things is very right. But a lot of problem at mental level, mental state. Many of these problems is actually our own creation. Then, of course, at the global level, including economic crisis, these problems also essentially man-made problems. And all these related with, ultimately, our emotions. Since today's economic crisis has happened, global economic crisis has happened, I asked, out of my curiosity, some of my friend who are business, and also they have some, some businessmen. So I asked, what is wrong with this economic crisis? Then some of them, she told me, firstly, human greed, and want more like that. Then with that greed, speculation, without knowing exactly, but just create some rumors and like that, speculation. And with that, telling lie, hypocrisy, not openness, not sort of transparent. So these are some of the causes of this crisis. So this shows this also is a man-made problem. If those big bank or company or important people, right from the beginning, clear, open, transparent, and speak truthful, honestly, less crisis. So therefore, including economic crisis, you see, all these problems are essentially man-made problems. Then, meantime, everyone do not want problem. Why? Because of lack of judgment, firstly. Lack of holistic view. Just short-sighted, immediate benefit. Not knowing, not taking consideration of holistic sort of nature, like that. So in that respect, now, compassion has something important role. More compassionate mind can see objectively. And the reality, everything interdependent, interconnected. So there is no single absolute point which we can develop anger. Usually, anger need independent, absolute target. I think, for example, angry to entire humanity, I think impossible. Real anger need independent, this person causing this problem. Then your anger your anger find target, so you can develop more anger, more anger, then finally take some ruthless action, isn't it? So when we saw things are not that kind of absolute, this event happened due to many other factors, including your own contribution. Once you know that reality, something, this bad event, connected with many other factors, including your own behavior, then your anger failed to find independent target. So here, you see, I think the mental level, these are very, very complex, like that. So therefore, in order to carry realistic approach, the calm mind, for that, compassion useful, and many man-made problems essentially related with our emotion. So this is one thing. So nobody, many problems, man-made problem, our own creation, and yet nobody want a problem. Then how it happened? Because our ignorance, because of our emotion, lack of understanding about the reality. This is one thing. Now, so now, how to promote compassion? I usually sharing with people out of my own sort of observation, and also as a result of meeting with many of my friends who practice with different traditions, and also many scientists. So my conclusion is there are three ways of promoting this value. Number one, theistic way. God, creator, infinite compassion. You more believe in it, there's more tendency you want to be more compassionate person, because you are fully sort of appreciate or submit to infinite love, that's God. So automatically you follow. Automatically you have the desire to follow that. This is one way. Another thing, non-theistic. Non-kazda.
Polytheistic. Non-theistic.
Like Jainism and Buddhism, according to law of causality, promote these values. Then there must be third way of approach. This is a little, there are some disagreement. Some my friend, some Muslim, some Christian, told me any moral ethics, including compassion, must be based on religious faith. But equally, some other people, including some scientists, it is not necessary to be based on religious belief. Now, obviously, affection among animals also there. I think everybody agree. Animal, no religious faith, isn't it? Can you teach religion to animal? I don't think, isn't it? Even in church, I think the preacher very nicely, you see, explaining about religion. Some pigeon going here and there, I think no influence on their mind. Or some ant, you see, running here and there, I don't think any sort of influence on them, on their mind. Even when I give some teaching in India, there are many people, and including myself, sometimes you see too much emotion and because of tears.
Shed tears.
But some monkeys there, you see no sign of that kind of feeling, like that. So therefore, animal, no religious faith. But they have the ability to show affection. Why that affection come from? Not religious faith. As I mentioned earlier, by physical product, biological product. So therefore, and then, as I mentioned earlier, according to our common sense, according to our common experience, then latest the scientific finding. One example, some scientists, you see, told in our sort of meeting, according some of their sort of experiment or research, according to their data, those people who often use word I, my, mine, me like that, those people have greater risk of heart attack. Why? I think if we sort of research, investigate, analyze, then I think the answer is like this, or connection is this. The more sort of self-centered attitude. And naturally, as I mentioned before, develop some distance from other. As a result, more worry, more sense of insecurity, more fear, more loneliness. Result, depression, heart attack. More compassionate attitude, bring all other something like one's own friend. That there is no feeling of distance. Everybody, you easily reach out. Then that reduces fear. That brings joyfulness. That brings openness. So, I think that's the way, connection. Too much self-centered. Your mind very much narrowed. As a result, even small problem appears unbearable. Once your mind, more compassionate attitude means wider. You take concern, this problem, this problem, this problem, that problem. So, within that kind of sort of perception, one's own serious problem not appear as sort of unbearable sort of that problem. I think that really makes differences. So these are scientific sort of answer. And then some scientists say, anger, hatred actually eating our immune system. Compassionate mind, peaceful mind, strengthening these immune system, these sort of body element which brings healthy body. So utilizes these factors, we can educate other people. There is no point to neglect about our inner value. For your own safety reasons, your own sort of healthy body and a successful life. I think we can educate through that way. So this, without touching religion. So I usually call secular way. Secular way. Again, the word, the secularism. Secular, two opinions. One, my friend, some Muslims as well as some Christians, they consider the secularism means some kind of rejection about religion. But other group of other opinion, the secularism does not mean rejection of religion, but rather respect all religions and no preference in this religion or that religion. So equal to all religion. So India's constitution based on secularism in that sense. So Mahatma Gandhi himself, I think, very much sort of promoter of secularism, but he himself very much religious-minded, like that. So therefore, there are two opinions, the meaning of secularism. So when I talk secularism, means respect all religion, and including non-believer. And so these values are actually, whether you call secular values or universal value, including animals also appreciate our affection, warm-heartedness. Therefore, this is universal value. And the way of the method promoting these things also non-secular way, without touching religion. That I think very important, I feel. So that is a third way to promote these things. So I fully committed through third way, non-religious way, a secular way to promote, to make clear to public the importance of our inner values. Not for next life, or not for heaven, not for moksha, but for happy life, this very life, more happy family, happy individual, happy community. So education, very important. Knowledge, very important. But equally, warm-heartedness, very, very important. The knowledge, there's no guarantee whether bring happiness or doubt or suspicion or worry. Better education, more vision, so more disappointment. Sometimes brilliant brain bring more problems, more mental burden, mental uneasiness, like that, more mental worry. And also education. Now it's like September 11th event. Few foolish people cannot plan that kind of act. Very, very brilliant people. Well planned, I think, if not years, but at least several months, they plan, every step calculated. So very, very smart brain. And use modern technology as a bomb. All these guided by hatred. So their brilliant brain used for destruction. So therefore, education Good education alone, no guarantee for benefit or to peace of mind or happy mind or oneself as well as to the society. So there must be another element, that's a warm-heartedness, sense of responsibility, sense of community. That's very important. That comes from moral ethics, not necessarily from religious sort of belief, but simply through common sense, common experience, and scientific findings. So please pay more attention about our inner value, you yourself, and according to your own experience. Then tell your friend, and particularly your children. Here, a parent, particularly your mother, please provide maximum affection to your children. I'm monk, no children, so no responsibility about that. But you lay people have additional responsibility to provide maximum affection to your children, so that our next generation can be more compassionate generation that really bring happy world, happy community. So that should be our target, should be our vision. So here, Danish people, small country, small population, I think you can manage these things more effective. But of course, whether you implement these things or not, entirely up to you. I'm leaving tonight to Iceland to tell them importance of these inner value. I don't know whether they listen or not, I don't know. This is the first time my visit to Iceland. So the Danish people's problem which waiting for you is your business. So you have to tackle that. So peace of mind is really very, very helpful, according to my own experience. You see, in spite now last 50 years of refugee life and constant heartbreaking news from Tibet, but comparatively, my mind quite okay, peace of mind. So that's, I think, through training, utilize human potential. So you also same, all have same human potential to realize that, to utilize that, and then real happy life, happy mental state, in spite of all other problems. Thank you, that's all. Now some questions.
Does His Holiness the Dalai Lama think world peace is possible? And if yes, what could Scandinavia, Denmark do best to reach this goal?
This is a serious question. Now, when we judge, now look, past century, 20th century, I think 20th century, that 100 years, I think really demonstrated the basic human nature, I feel. In early part of 20th century, of course, war is something familiar, rare, and take for granted. And also war is the opportunity to show sort of national sort of patriotism or like that, heroism like that. Then gradually, the later part of 20th century, I think majority of the people really fed up about violence, about war. One clear example. In First World War, Second World War declared, all the citizens of the concerned people happily, proudly joined war effort. Now later, Vietnam War, and recently Kosovo War, and also the Iraq War, all these. I think the citizens of the concerned people showing opposition, like Iraq crisis about to start, about to happen, from Australia up to the United States. Millions of people express their opposition, war. And meantime, concept of dialogue, a concept of peace, non-violence, also increasing. Look, South Africa's transformation under the leadership of Nelson Mandela. Peaceful, non-violent way, transformation. These are, I think, clear indication. Basic human nature don't like bloodshed. And then, I think peace movement, everywhere. Then also, I think the environment issue. In early part of 20th century, no one takes concern about our responsibility, additional responsibility to take care of our home, our planet. Now, the concept of ecology, even political party, Green Party, is based on the concern of ecology. These also, I think, healthy development and recycle these things. I think human being during 20th century, I think early part of 20th century or mid part of 20th century, I think we gain much experience. As a result, humanity become more mature. Although the beginning of 21st century, last few years, not a very happy one, but basically, I think much healthier. Now terrorism, that's a few handful people sort of activities. So overall, I think world become healthier and out of real desire for peace, non-violence. So I believe, and many other my friends really believe, if we really make effort from government, from parliament, from media people, from ordinary people, from every individual families, family members, create inner peace, eventually create peaceful family, peaceful community, and most important in education field, I think hopefully more sort of more program of education for peace, education of non-violence. So I often is telling people or expressing, 20th century become like century of bloodshed. Now 21st century should be century of dialogue. And for that reason, now since we educate and also make effort, whenever we face problems, we must utilize the spirit of dialogue, without bloodshed, without violence. Then this sort of effort is actually inner disarmament, movement of inner disarmament. And through inner disarmament, external disarmament must follow, step by step. Then, I think, within this century, I think there is real possibility to create genuine, peaceful world. So effort is very necessary. I think smaller country, as I mentioned before, sometimes smaller nation can make greater contribution to lead that way. I feel like that. So I'm very, very optimistic. Yes.
As an educator, I would like to ask Your Holiness what you believe is the most important message or tool to pass on to our children. Educationists, and the most important message character grace. Message grace.
As an educator,
No.
I think you know better. How to bring. How to educate our young student. But the essential, I think the importance of peace, peace through inner peace, that means more compassion, more, I think, holistic view brings inner peace. So these things, I think you can use. Then hopefully, I think the more experienced, educated people, because educationists, I think should discuss and make more research. Now, present existing education system is not adequate to bring healthy people. So, further investigation, not contented existing sort of system, and try to, because of that, try to find some additions, some new things. That I think is important. And that way, as I mentioned before, desire, not contented in these things. Now here, contentment, two fields. External facilities, internal quality. As far as external material value is concerned, better content. In any case, the material values, there's limitation. You buy one car, new car. The next year, you want another new car. Go like that. Never sort of satisfy. And in any case, once you have one car, and you may feel, oh, I want two cars, and then three cars, like that. Each family member possesses car. Every member possesses a car.
Their own cars.
Like that. So you see, no sort of limitation of contentment. And the material value itself, there's limitation. Now, for example, Asia, now already this gap, rich and poor, global level, and within the country, I think like Burma, maybe, I think less gap, isn't it? Rich and poor, maybe less. I was told in Austria, I think much less billionaire. So the middle class people, the biggest number, so the less gap, I was told. Whereas in America and also England, more gap, rich and poor. Now, unbelievably, in China also, that socialist country, huge gap. Oh, billionaires and poor people. India also. So, for example, in America, the number of billionaires increasing, but poor people still remain poor, sometimes increasing. That's very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate. Morally speaking, wrong, unjust, rare.
No, unjust.
And practically also source of problem. So we have to think. We have to address seriously about these things. So therefore, so the material field better keep contentment. For mental quality is concerned, we should not content. I think really worthwhile exploring, increasing our mental knowledge as well as mental quality. So our educator, I think more in this line. So should not be contented. I think that's important. So my own sort of, for that respect, my knowledge, very limited, and actually no experience teaching in class, no experience. So, you know better, so you should research, more research work. And then I think you will find some concrete idea. Then I think these works not just responsibility for few individuals, but also was the educators come discuss what's wrong, what's lacking, and how to fill that vacuum like that. So one thing I have firm belief, present education system is not adequate regarding moral ethics, as I mentioned earlier, secular way.
Hans helhedssvar til spørgsmålet er det, han allerede har talt om, altså at den indre fred leder til ydre fred. Det er noget af det, vi kan videregive i uddannelse til børn, mere medfølelse.
I think furthermore, when the separate education institution started in Europe, as far as I know, I think some university, I think 1,000 years old. So when separate education institutions started, then the moral ethics is concerned, the church take full responsibility, and also family, some extent. So newly created separate education institution, the only responsibility is provide education. That's all. Now time passes, the influence of church sometimes little decline. And family value also little decline. So then the education institution alone have the both responsibility of brain development, responsibility of warm-heartedness, both responsibility now in the hand of education institution. So, according new reality, more heavier responsibility of the education institution. So, I think really necessary to think more on this line.
Why do you think more women apparently are interested in Buddhism in the West?
Karsa, you mean? Oh. You should find answer for that question. I'm just outsider. Look from distance. I don't know. I think with connection with this question, I really feel biologically female have more sensitive about others' pain. So obviously, from two parents, from father and mother, my own case, my mother really provide me maximum affection. My father not. My father very short-tempered. So I remember one day, I remember very clearly, one day my father feeding, lunching, eating some, I think, some pork. I just sit beside him, expecting some piece of pork from him, just like a dog, even like that. Then, you see, I think I think something, I got something. Then I touch my father's sort of mustache, good mustache. And I think, pull, I think, a little bit, I think. So my father lost anger.
Lost temper.
Lost temper. Lost temper. I remember very clearly. So regarding promotion of human compassion, I think women, female, have greater responsibility, make a contribution regarding promotion of compassion. So, recent years, in public sort of talk, I often you see telling, or expressing. In human history, most war hero means greater butcher, murderer, killing 1,000 people, 100,000, and a victory, they become hero. So most of these heroes are male. So maybe most of the leadership, if you say become or take by female, maybe less danger, maybe so the better because of the peace. Sometimes I feel like that. So I'm male, so no problem to express it that way. So in any way, that I really feel, as I mentioned before, please you provide maximum affection towards your children and other children. Sometimes my generation who belongs to 20th century, and also here some of those older gentlemen or ladies belongs to 20th century. Now we are people of 20th century, century of bloodshed. Now, younger people, the coming generation, or younger people who really belongs to this 21st century, our real hope on their shoulder, our real hope on them. So the raising this younger generation through compassionate atmosphere so that their education can be utilized for genuine peace, genuine compassionate world. So, yes, I know this is a female. In Asia also, female looks, you see, more because of the interest about the religion. It seems like that. detailed reason we have to find through research. I don't know. I really don't know. So, no clear answer for that question. So I think a precise answer is, I don't know. That's a precise answer.
Can anger be used in a positive way?
Anger. If the person has sort of sufficient power of compassion and wisdom, compassion, very genuine compassion or sense of concern of others, other who are wrongdoing. Then, in order to stop their wrongdoing, sometimes you need harsh method. At that case, temporary moment, you need sometimes anger. So that kind of anger, motivated by compassion, is positive anger. Anger brings swift action and effective action. So only that reason, motivated by compassion, then that anger is positive.
What is the role of religion in society and government?
Society and government. I think religion really brings, if you are very serious, but otherwise, I think many people who attend Sunday prayer, but in daily life, not that much serious about religion, isn't it? We Buddhists also, in temple, pray, Buddha, but outside temple, not much concern. So then, I think, not much effect. But if you, once you accept religion, then if you really pay serious about the sort of the teaching of one's own sort of religion, seriously and sincerely, then, say, in the high office, you find opportunity to manipulate or to cheat, to take advantage, then remember God and self-discipline. I should not use this opportunity. God will know. God will judge. So, discipline comes from religious faith, self-discipline. I think some of the communist leaders, like Chairman Mao Zedong, when I was in China, in Peking, 1954, 1955, the Mao Zedong really be a great revolutionary leader of revolution, and really dedicated well-being of other people, poor people, working class people, needy people, less privileged people, and also majority, who really suffer in the hands of upper class or elite. Then, mid-50s, 1956, 57, eventually, I think power, his absolute power, eventually ruined himself. So this is due to lack of self-discipline. That person, he got all power. You see, nothing beyond that. So, ruined, spoiled. So many years ago, I think 30 years ago, in India, one occasion, one meeting, the local politician, actually in Darjeeling, the West Bengal Chief Minister, also there. So when he spoke, he expressed, we are politicians, we are not spiritual sort of practitioner. He mentioned like that. Then after that, on my turn, speak. Since I know him, so I tease him. You mentioned you're a politician, so you see, not much, the experience or not much concern about spirituality. And I told him, this is wrong. You, as a public sort of figure,
public figure,
public leader, right?
Figure, yeah. Public leader.
You see, if your mind goes wrong, there is really effect to many people. Those spiritual practitioners who remain hermit, their mind goes wrong, nothing happened to the society. So therefore, the religion, you need more than us. I told him, half teasing him. So that's like that. The leader, what we politician or leader, really need self-discipline. Self-discipline brings, because of that, honesty, truthful, transparent. That brings trust from the public, from the voter. Then you can lead the nation. If lack of moral ethics, then take opportunity. Then things become more clear. Then hypocritical attitude. Then people lost trust. So, I think that is one, I think a healthy sort of, healthy side of democracy. You, open society, the free media. So I often was telling media people, yesterday also I mentioned, you should have like elephant nose, smell front, and everybody try to be nice in front. And you must smell behind what's going on. That's very, very important. Including myself, I told them, like religious person, or politician, or businessman, or scientist, every field, you must investigate what's going on. And then, investigation, honestly, objectively, unbiased way, truthfully, then tell people, must inform public. Beside independent judiciary, the information, clear information, what's going on, right or wrong, what's going on, make clear to public. It is, I think, one healthy sign, healthy sort of checking or balance. It's very good. That's lacking in people's world of China. All information censored. What to do? So it's just, according to some information, most corruption take place in the hands of party member. Their power. Nobody dare criticize. So therefore, so politicians or leaders, religious mind, religious belief really benefit. But very important to make a distinction, religious belief or religious institution. Religious institution must be separate from politics. It is very important. I think like a Dalai Lama institution, religious institution, meantime head of the temple. That out of date. So within my lifetime, I made every effort makes sort of separation. Since 2001, we already have elected political leadership. My position as Dalai Lama, traditionally the leader of both temple and religion, since 2001, since we already have elected political leadership, my position is semi-retired position. So I firmly believe religious institution must be separate from the political institution. But politician, individual, more faith, more religious-minded, maybe more reliable. Self-discipline, isn't it? But one, my friend, advisor of the global business, while we are talking, chatting, I told him, oh, God-fearing could be very useful. Then his response is, oh, that is 18th century's idea. Now, modern time, in 20th century and 21st century, nobody considers about that. He mentioned like that. Anyway, I believe, you see, some form of God-fearing.
God-fearing.
God-fear.
God-fearing.
God-fearing. I think that kind of attitude brings self-discipline. And without a religion, if you have secular moral principle, that also equally brings self-discipline. So that means I'm not saying all politicians should be religious people. No. Non-believer can be a good politician, good leader, provided moral principle. What do you think? Do you agree? Or do you agree? Thank you, thank you. Okay. Now, 2 days sort of meeting in this same hall. I really enjoy. I feel, I think, hopefully, made little contribution for peace of mind, for meaningful life. So thank you very much. So till our next meeting, please take care yourself, physically, mentally, spiritually. Thank you. Goodbye.
On the behalf of Tibet Charity and everyone, we wish His Holiness will accept our invitation sometime, some years later, or anytime it's suitable, to remind us how to keep the inner peace. Thank you so much.